Here are the letters the Romans gave us, and here are the countries whose languages derive from Latin. Today they cover half the world, as for the ancient Romans the boundaries of their state encompassed their entire civilization. The Roman peace, or Pax Romana, serves as the first example of globalization. Let's take a walk across 12 centuries of the Roman history, and yes, those numerals are also a Roman legacy. God Jupiter. Much of what the Romans later became famous for: aqueducts, bridges, perhaps even the gladiatorial games were borrowed from the Atrians. This people had invented the Latin alphabet by adapting the Greek letters for their own needs. It's not surprising that their last kings were Etruscan. Rome borrowed her military and government organization from them while maintaining her stern patriarchal simplicity. In 509, Rome was shaken by a sex scandal. The son of King Tam the Proud raped the chaste Lucretia. Tam was expelled, making him the last king of Rome. The Romans decided to prevent any such concentration of power ever again. From 509 onwards, they elected 2 consuls to serve a year of peace instead of a monarch. The consuls were controlled by the Senate. This consisted of 300 fathers patris in Latin, hence the term patricians. Those not so lucky to be born into the right families joined the plebs. Even if they were as rich as patricians, they were not entitled to take up positions in the state. It is in the 200 struggle for these rights that the Republic, literally meaning public thing, will be formed. The pans would make up the backbone of the army, and to have their own way they would threaten the fledgling state with immigration to a neighboring hill. Each time the scared patricians caved in, introducing, for instance, the special position of a representative or tribune of the plebeians. These had the right to veto any decisions of the consuls. One of the main achievements of the plug was the publication of the first written laws. By 287 BC, the pans had achieved complete equality rights with the patricians. The unity of Rome found its best expression in the formula sonata Papus Romanus. The Senate and the Roman people, which still adorns the manhole covers in, was wiped out. All of its population was enslaved, allegedly plowing salt into the earth as an eternal curse. Also in 146 BC, the Romans wiped out another city, Corinth, making Greece and Macedonia Roman provinces. Rome appropriated the colossal riches of the disintegrating empire of Alexander, but the patriarchal simplicity of Rome succumbed to the sophisticated Greek culture. Greek became, in effect, a second state language. The Roman ability busied itself learning new words, hexam, history, rhetoric. Cicero, the most famed orator of Rome, would come to model his speeches on those of the Greek Demosthenes. However, across this immense territory, for rights were only afforded to the Romans themselves. Even other Italians, the majority of the military, had no citizenship rights. These would demand equality, declare war, and win the right to take part in managing the state. This was a total game-changer. While ancient Greece remained a collection of squabbling city-states, Rome gradually extended citizenship rights to the conquered, laying down the basis for an killing the brothers and several thousand of their allies. Rome was gripped by civil war. Social mobility for the proletariat was offered by Gas Marius, a popular general. He began enrolling the proletariat into the army with a promise of a grant of land at the end of service. This would make the legions personally devoted to their generals. In 49 BC, 2 outstanding generals fought over Rome. Gas Pompus had won the eastern provinces for Rome, including restless Judea cleared the Mediterranean of piracy, defeated Sparta's slave revolt, and justifiably added the title Great to his name. Julius Caesar had conquered Gaul, nowadays they would call it genocide. He butchered 1 million GS and enslaved as many more. He went on to defeat the Germans and then invaded Britain. According to the law, a general had to dismiss his legions before returning to Rome, and in return have his moment of glory, a triumphal entry into the capital. To the applause of the citizens, Caesar performed a hitherto unseen maneuver. He refused to submit to the Senate, and having crossed the Italian border, the river Rubicon, marched his legions to Rome. It would take him several years to defeat Pompey the Great and his other rivals, pitching Roman legants against each other. In the process, Caesar annexed new territories and gave Cleopatra the Egyptian throne. After a romantic cruise along the Nile, she would give birth to Syrian or Little Caesar. On his return, Caesar would add Imperator or Emperor to his name, titled originally meaning victorious commander, and gain control of all political positions, consul, tribune of the people, and dictator. Rumors spread that Caesar wanted to declare himself king. Conspiracy was brewing in the Senate, and Caesar was assassinated. Caesar left his wealth quite unexpectedly for all concerned to his grandnephew, 19-year-old Octavius. This Octavian immediately joined in the power struggle. In 31 BC he defeated his last rival, the warlord Mark Antony, who likewise had an affair with Cleopatra. The lovers would take their own lives. Octavian was left so ruler of a vast a month was named after him. Thus the cult of the Roman emperors was emerging. They would come to be venerated alongside Mars, and Roman legions conquered part of Britain, where they founded a town called Londinium. Provinces were given a transparent taxation system, and the non-Roman nobility began to enter the Senate en masse. A grandchild of an Italian peasant, Vespasian Flavius, would become the founder of the next dynasty. Vespasian and Titus, suppressing the uprising in Judah, committed genocide. Again, according to modern-day not Roman standards, and reduced the Temple of Jerusalem to nothing but the Wailing Wall. On a lighter note, Vespasian had a jolly good Roman predisposition. He taxed the collectors of urine at the public toilets, and Titus, the destroyer of Jerusalem, would nevertheless obtain the title of merciful. After a splendid triumph, he opened the Colosseum for the people. Titus would be called the love and consolation of humankind, and after such festivities had depleted the public treasury, Vuvus destroyed Pompey. Plague devastated half Italy, and Titus became a god. The 2nd century would go down in history as the era of the good emperors. Trajan was considered by his contemporaries the best emperor ever. Rome became a 1 million-strong city, and the empire reached its largest extent. Rome connected on new territories via network of paved roads. This system still determines the transport map of Europe. After trans-conquest, Adrian buoyed himself with defense, erecting massive fortifications in Britain, and between the Arwai and the Danu Pantheon was built in Rome the first temple to be topped by a massive dome, a real architectural sensation of the day dedicated to all the gods. Hadrian would also include his lover among them, the young Antinous. More of his images have survived than of any Roman, the last good emperor, the throned philosopher Marcus Aurelius would spend most of his reign on military expeditions. In between battles he wrote his manifesto for Stoic philosophy, reporting to the emperor. Thus the ancient world centered around the concept of a free community and free citizens came to an end from the princeps. The first senator, the emperor, had become the dominus, a title by which slaves addressed their masters. The citizen became a subject, the warrior turned into a soldier, and the farmer a semi-serf. Gen himself resigned from the post of emperor 20 years later and went off to his estate to grow cabbages. After Di's departure, the co-rulers were fighting for power. Constantine, the future Saint Constantine the Great, emerging victorious before the crucial battle for Rome. He allegedly had a vision of a cross. After this he made all religions equal. After 300 years of persecutions, the Christians came out of the catacombs and were now entitled to build churches alongside the temples of Augustus and Mars. Constantine would take the cross from Jerusalem to the new capital of the Roman Empire, Constantinople. Theodosius I would make Christianity the official religion and begin to destroy the ancient temples. He would also be the last emperor of a united Roman Empire. His son split the empire into West and East. The eastern half would live another 1,000 years and is known to us as Byzantium. The western part would fall victim to the great migration of peoples. Rome, founded by migrants, would fall to the onslaught of a new wave of refugees. Ironically, the last ruler of Rome would be called Romulus in modern Rome. Not far from the Colosseum and the ruins of the for there is a tomb. Its occupant was neither emperor nor senator, but a simple baker called Julius, likely born a slave into a family of Greek migrants. He later entered into a bread supply contract with the capital and became so rich that he could build such a monument for himself and his wife before Rome in ancient Egypt and elsewhere, or after Rome. During the Middle Ages, a man would die in the same station and life as he had been born. The life and career of Julius is an answer to the question of how Rome was able to create a global state that lasted over 1,000